Trans Am 100. So let's go to the track. Steve?
Thank you, Ed, and welcome everyone to beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the home of America's longest and fastest road racing course. It's Road America. Ever wonder how things get their name, such as why did Pontiac call this model the Trans Am? Well, they borrowed it from the Sports Car Club of America's road racing series, the Trans Am Championship. But what we'll be seeing here today is the new, improved Trans Am. Right, Brock Yates?
Right, Steve, and it's really down and dirty racing, 100 miles, really hard running, no pit stops, with cars like this. And these are quick cars, 2,600 pounds, about 600 horsepower. They'll run about 170 miles an hour. We're going to see some really fender-banging, classic American road racing.
Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, even a few Porsches and Datsuns thrown in.
All kinds of imports and domestic cars just thrashing away here on a big, wide-open racetrack. It's going to be fun.
If you think road racing is a gentlemanly pursuit, wait till you see these guys and girls out on the racetrack. The gloves are off.
Right you are, Steve, and of course some very big names here. You recognize that man. Don't often see him in a driver's suit, but he's a very, very accomplished racing driver. Elliott Forbes Robinson, a former Can-Am champion here in this field. Constant 14 very difficult turns on this racetrack. This is a challenge for anybody, and in particular this man, the pole sitter in the number 29 Camaro, David Hobbs, one of the finest racing drivers in the world today, driven all kinds of competition, Indianapolis cars, stock cars, Le Mans. He's done it all, but today we're going to ride with him around Elkhart Lake behind the wheel of his
commanding lead, and then we hold position.
Okay, the bomb went off and it's time to go. Good luck, David.
And on the outside pole, his teammate, the brilliant young driver Willie T. Ribbs, who qualified just 0.7 of a second slower than Hobbs. Very definitely a factor in this race, Steve.
Always is, Willie T. And just behind David Hobbs, his former Can-Am champion, Elliott Forbes Robinson from Petaluma, California, in a Pontiac Trans Am. His companion in that second row is Tom Gloyd, the quickest of the Fords. Actually, it's a Mercury Capri, qualified number 4. He is second in the series on points.
To everybody, Paul Newman in the Bob Sharp Racing Datsun, a turbocharged familiar name spread through the pack. Ludwig Heimrath, one of the Canadian veterans in this league, run Indy cars and Can-Am cars. And Gene Felton, a real pro in stock cars of all kinds, is a former champion in the IMSA series and now has won himself some races in the Trans Am as well.
And adding even more color to the scene in his purple slide.
We got a mob of them here today, Steve. 55 qualifiers at Elkhart Lake in this Trans Am race. That's a near record for this long respected series. It's been running really since 1966. All kinds of automobiles. America, 100 miles, 25 laps. David Hobbs on the pole with a new lap record of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Very quick time for what are pretty heavy automobiles, but we're going to see him running very, very quickly at Elkhart Lake when we come back.
Between themselves and third place, Elliott Forbes Robinson, still followed by Paul Newman.
Well, these two automobiles of Hobbs and Ribbs have been the class of the league so far this season. Both the Atlee Camaros have had a little edge on everybody, although they've been chased all season by the two guys behind him, Elliott Forbes Robinson in his Trans Am and Newman in that really neat and very radical Datsun Turbo.
On his last lap, David Hobbs was clocked, Brock, at 2 minutes, 22.5 seconds. And you consider he qualified at like 2 minutes and 17 seconds. He may not be showing us everything he's got.
The automobile probably isn't quite capable of running those qualifying speeds, but
Brock, we've got a problem in turn 8. It is Willie T. Ribbs. Will he be able to get it back in the race? We'll have to find out.
Well, that's the big question. You can be sure this young man.
See that quite a few car lengths separate the second place driver Paul Newman and third place Elliott Forbes Robinson. Race car driving just one of the ways that Paul Newman stays in shape for his rigorous career as an actor, producer.
Moving on in years, but he looks young, he looks very fit, he keeps himself in excellent physical condition, and comes to the racetrack and tries to get along with everybody, which he does very well with.
Back to Road America to the Trans Am 100.
Well, Ed, one of the real contenders, Gene Felton, is on the sidelines. It appears as if he's got some engine problems, but Gene has had some concerns about brakes here as well, and especially considering the Darren Brassfield crash that was a result of a brake failure. he talked about brakes and how they related to setting up a car here at Road America. He talked about that with Steve Evans earlier.
On a high-speed racetrack like Road America, brakes play a very big part, as Gene Felton is going to show us. Gene?
Yeah, this is just one brake pad. We have 2 of these on each wheel. In other words, 8 of them on the car, and these are monster brake pads. We have to haul these cars down, as I say, they're 2,700 pounds. We have to haul them down from 180, 190, sometimes 200 miles an hour down to 20, 25 miles an hour.
And cooling the brakes?
Well, we have huge vents going into them. We even have water injection on the brakes to keep the rotors cool. And even with all of that, we still have brake failures. That's why you see escape roads at the end of some of these straightaways that we all hope we don't have to use.
Well, fortunately, Gene didn't have to use the escape road here at Road America. He's out of the automobile, unzipping his driver's suit because it got plenty hot in that car. It's been hot here all afternoon, and he's going to seek a little coolness here as Steve Evans has gone into the pit area and rounded up Gene's car owner.
I'm with Gordy Oftedal, crew chief on Gene Felton's car, and Gordy, on our monitor, it looked like the engine blew.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what's happened. The radio didn't work. We weren't able to communicate with Gene to find out. The car was running right where we had planned on being. We figured there would probably be a yellow with all these cars in the race. 50 cars is a lot of cars. We felt there would probably be a yellow. We were just running easy, so we'd be able to charge at the end.
Well, after a win in Florida and seconds out on the coast, you're certainly the highest placed independent car in this whole series. And there's a long ways to go. You still got a good shot at it.
Well, thank you. If we had a sponsor, we could probably win a few, but we really feel good where we're running. I got a good driver.
You sure do.
Well, the caution car is now circulating up.
Is now in second position, and something happens to Paul Miller's car. Tom Glover.
From a very kind of spotty start, Elliott has worked his way back now into second place. And who knows, Tom Glover, a very experienced man out front right now. This man, David Hobbs, leading it, and plenty comfortable out there. And you know that he's not going to get nervous or tensed up by being chased by this guy who's equally poised, Elliott Forbes Robinson. So unless there's a call
about Tom Gloy, we're looking at Elliott Forbes Robinson, but Gloy back there with his consistent finishes is amassing points all the time too, Brock. He wants to be a threat all through this series. So Elliott Forbes Robinson, the yellow Pontiac Firebird, the car number 1, the one indicating that he is a defending series champion, is driving harder right now than we see the interval between car number 29, David Hobbs, and the yellow car of Elliott Forbes Robinson. Finally, Gene Felton has found his way back to the pit area, and Brock is there to talk to him.
Gene Felton, kind of a surprising end. You were running with the leaders, but not really making a move on them. Was the car running as well as you expected before it broke?
No, Brock, as you know, as you might know or might not know, we didn't have any practice this morning. We made about a half a lap this morning to check the chassis, and something happened, so we didn't have any practice. We didn't have time to bed the brakes in, so I started the race with no brakes. And I was cool, and I was running real nice and easy, thinking I would make a move in about the next 5 laps, and I was running 5th, I think, maybe 6th, keeping up with the leaders. And all of a sudden, going down the back straightaway, the hand grenade went off. I think the crank broke in half, or maybe some rods gave up.
So it just with no warning, no oil pressure going down or heat going up or anything, it just flat broke?
No warning whatsoever. I was reading the gauges, I was watching everything, shifting gears easy, just taking care of the equipment, just without any warning at all. That you know how it is.